Welcome back. Here's another tutorial on how you can draft your bustier if you don't want to use the first method that I already have on the channel, that is the one we drafted with the pattern paper. So here I have exactly what I'm going to be using for my fabric. So I have the bust circumference plus the zipper allowance and then my allowance, my sewing allowance. Then I added extra 2 inches to the back. So I don't know if that is clear. So what I actually have is what my bust is divided by 4. You know, the fabric is folded in 2. Then I added allowance to this, then extra zipper allowance. So this is what I was actually trying to explain. So here is me ruling out the zipper allowance. So you can go ahead and rule your zipper allowance. Remember that I have 2 fabric, and then the first one is 2 inches longer than the other one. So I'm taking the shorter one. It will actually be clear in no time. So I'll just go ahead and rule what I already drew out, which is 2 inches for my zipper allowance. So I like to work with 2 inches for my zipper allowance. Now separate the longer one. So after rolling out that 2 inches like this, now what is left is from that 2 inches I'll start taking all my normal measurements, that is my shoulder measurements, just like you are drafting your half length. So just go ahead and measure that. Take note of the shoulder measurements. So you will see me placing my tape rule exactly from where that line is, exactly from the 2 inches I have there. So I'll just go ahead and place it like this. So here I'll divide my shoulder measurement by 2 and I'll mark it. So just pay attention to see how I'm going to be doing it. Now on my chest line as well, I'm going to go ahead to measure my chest line. So for the chest line, I'm going to be using 8 inches because the bust point is 10 inches. So that's my bust point. Then I'll rule my chest line as well. So those are the parts I'm going to be needing. Then since this is an half length, obviously that will be the waist. So the half length can also serve as the waist. So there will be the waist, and then don't forget to add your 1 inch allowance since you're cutting directly on the fabric. Alright, so from this part now, we'll go ahead and just do our normal basic bodies. So for this part now, which I said is my chest line, I'm going to be extending there. I'm going to be measuring that same shoulder divided by 2. So the shoulder I'm working with is 15 inches divided by 2, that's 7.5. So I already measured it up on the shoulder part, and then I measured it on the chest line as well, and I'll connect it with my ruler like this. So this is just basically as if you are making your normal bodies. So after connecting it like this, I'm going to be making a curve. And then the reason why I'm making a curve already is because I already know I folded the clothes using the measurement I'm going to be needing, which is the bust measurement divided by 4. Remember the cloth is on a fold of 2. The bust measurement divided by 4. Then plus my allowance. Remember, I've already removed the 2 inches for the zipper, which is what you can see from the white line you can see on the other edge. So from that point is where I took my round bust measurement. So I measured it, then I'm going to be adding my allowance, my 1.5 inch allowance, which is exactly what I folded out for the fabric, as you can see. Then I'm going to go ahead now to the waist and measure the waist circumference divided by 2, again from the same line I drew earlier, from the 2 inches zipper line I drew earlier. Then I'll add my I'm going to add the waist allowance as well. So once I'm done with this now, I'll just connect it together. So carefully just use your ruler to blend this together like this. So now that we are done with this now, this is an off-shoulder bustier. So if it is not an off-shoulder bustier, this is another method you can cut it. So you just draft out the neckline you want and all, but this is an off-shoulder bustier. So I'll be dropping this with 5 inch. So from that part, I'm going to measure the 5 inch there. Then on the other end as well, I'll measure the 5 inch. So this is just so that I can have a straight line. I'll measure my 5 inch on both sides. Then I will now use my ruler to connect it together. I really hope you're following, guys. So just go ahead and connect it together like this. So I'll be leaving a link to the other tutorial on how we use the pattern paper to draft our bustier. So at the end of the day, you still have the same result. So this is just another method. So whichever method we prefer, we can go ahead and work with. So I've subtracted 5 inches because it is an off shoulder bustier. So you can actually do this before measuring, but just for the sake of this tutorial, that is why I'm just cutting it out. So I'll just go ahead and cut off the excess I have on this part as well. Then I'll go ahead to trim my armhole. So I feel that armhole isn't sitting well properly, so I just wanted to make sure it is sitting properly before I go ahead to cut, since I'm cutting on the fabric. So lovelies, once I'm done cutting, this is what I had. Then I'll open up the zipper part. Remember the 2 inch I left for the zipper, so I have to open it up. So go ahead and open up too. Now once we're done opening this up, this is definitely the back pattern, so the back is ready. Now we're going to be using this back now to work on the front, so just watch what I'm going to be doing carefully. Now I'm just going to place this directly on the front. So yeah, the one I had before, which is 2 inches wider, I'm going to be placing it like this on it. So you can see the way I'm placing it. So I placed it directly using the entire fabric like this. So you can see the 5 inch I subtracted from the top is actually visible now. And then this is the extra 2 inches I added on this side. I hope this is clear. So aside the zipper allowance, which is on the back, I added extra 2 inches allowance, which is going to be for the front. So that means with the normal measurements we have for the front, we have extra 2 inches for the zipper, then extra 2 we're going to be working with. So now I'll just use this back to trace everything I have on the front like this. Remember that the first one we drafted is the back. So trim out the armhole and the side as well. Now once you are done trimming, you can go ahead and set the back aside. Now we'll be working on the front. So set this aside and let's work on the front. So we're going to be using this as the front. As you can see, there's no opening on this. The center piece is actually still joined together. So I'm going to be folding this using my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, then I'm going to be adding extra 1/2 inch allowance to this. So my nipple to nipple is actually 8 divided by 2, which will give me 4. But I'll be folding exactly 4.5 inches here. This is because I'm cutting directly on the fabric. Then we want to make sure that we have allowance to join this back so that it can be in place and we don't have any shortage. So here is my 4.5 inch allowance folded like this. So go ahead and confirm yours. Now we're going to be taking all our measurements now. So place your tape rule. My tape rule will be reading from 5. Remember it is an off shoulder and I already subtracted 5. So my tape rule is going to be reading from 5. So after that, I'm going to be measuring, taking note of all the measurements I'm going to be needing. So I'll first go ahead and locate my bust point, which is right there on 10 inches. So then I'll go to the under bust. So we're going to be needing the under bust. So the under bust is going to be 14.5, 14.5 inches. So I'll locate it there. And of course, I have the waist, which is just exactly what I have folded there. So now on the top of this, I'll be taking 1.5 inch allowance. So you can actually do it depending on how busty the person is. So for this, I'm actually taking 1 inch because the person I'm working with is not that busty. So on the top, I took 1 inches. Then on the under bust line, which you can see me placing my tape rule on, I'm going to be taking 1.5 inches allowance on this part. So this is for the sake of my darts. Then I'll repeat that same 1.5 on the hem of this like this. So this is what the 1.5 is. Now remember that on the top I took 1 inches and then on the lower part I took 1.5. Now I'll be connecting these together. Just pay attention to see how I'm going to be connecting. So for the under bust, I will connect straight like this. Now once I'm done with that, from that part also I'm connecting to where I have my bust point. So just look at how I'm going to be connecting this carefully. So this is how I'm going to be connecting it. Now from this bust span to the under bust, I'm going to be using excuse me, I'm going to be using my curve to arrange it like this. So I'm just going to be making a little curve because at the end of the day I want my bust span to still be the 4.5 inches. So this is what I'm going to be having. Just watch closely how I'm going to be curving this. So as you can see, I didn't make actually a curve on the center part, but I just made a curve on that part which is going to be on the under bust. So this is what I'm going to be working with. So you can see how the curve works. So you can actually try this couple of times before you start working on your fabric, but this is actually way easier than you think. So this is just me making a curve from that under bust part. So now it's time to cut. So make sure you cut outside the chalk just like this. So take your time to cut this carefully. So cut, take your time while you're cutting. Remember that you need to still have your allowance on this. So you can see where I'm actually cutting to. So this is where I'm going to stop the first cutting. Then I'll turn like this to the other side and cut from the 1 inch I have on the top, like this. So go ahead and keep cutting. So we also stop this on the bust pan, like this, on the bust pan. So now that I'm done, I'm already on the bust pan, I'll just open these two up. So at the end of the day, I have my nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus my ½ inch allowance in that center. So then I don't want any sharp edges, so I will go ahead and trim it off as well. So lovelies, this is what I actually have. Pardon me, I have a sore throat, so I just hope I'm clear enough to hear. So this is what it looks like. So I have it in 3 pieces. This is the center, and then these are the 2 sides. So guys, I will just show us how to join this together. So just basically join it the same way you join your bustier together with the ½ inch you added, and then I'll be back to show us the results. So love, this is what I had after I was done. You can see I just used my pin to hold this down and then stick down the ½ inch I'm going to be using to join. So this is actually how it came out. So you can draw how the neckline you want for it, and this is what you are going to have. I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, please like the video and share the video. Also leave your questions in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. Thanks for watching, guys.